Pandas are really popular, not just because they're cute, but also because people love to see them. They attract a lot of tourists from everywhere. However, we should consider whether this is good for the pandas. In this video, we're going to talk about how people view the way pandas are treated and if the pandas are okay with all the attention they get. Pandas aren't just adorable, they're also in danger of disappearing, which is why we need to protect them. They bring in a lot of tourists, especially in places like the Chengdu Panda Base, which helps save them. But when we visit these places, we should consider how the pandas feel. Are we treating them right? Do they mind being in our vacation pictures? We'll look into these questions and consider how we can be better visitors around pandas. Before we continue, please consider subscribing. In 2023, there were these researchers, D. Fennell and Yulei Guo, who did a study. They wanted to know what people think about pandas at places like zoos and sanctuaries. Their goal was to find out if being a panda fan makes a difference in how people view pandas in tourist spots. For their research, they used surveys and questionnaires. These are sets of questions that people answer. The questions were about what people think of pandas, especially their well-being. Like if they're happy and healthy, and if people think pandas are a part of tourism. They looked at two main groups for their study. The panda fans are people who are super into pandas, maybe follow them online or visit them a lot. The non-fans are those who don't keep up with panda stuff or aren't too interested. By comparing these groups, the researchers could see if being a fan affects how you view pandas' lives in places we go to see them. So after D. Fennell and Yulei Guo did their research in 2023, they found some pretty interesting stuff about how people view pandas in places like zoos and sanctuaries. First off, they noticed that if you're a big panda fan, you're more likely to think that pandas are having a good time in these tourist places. Panda lovers generally believe that the pandas are happy and healthy. But people who aren't that into pandas, the non-fans, aren't so sure. They often doubt whether pandas are enjoying their lives in these spots. This is a big deal because it shows that being a fan can change how you see an animal's welfare. Another interesting finding was about whether people think pandas are okay with being a part of tourism. Fans usually think that pandas don't mind being the main attraction. They believe pandas are fine with all the attention. But the non-fans? They're not so convinced. They often question if pandas actually like being in the limelight, and if it might stress them out. When you compare this study to other research about animals in tourism, you find similar ideas. Whether we're talking about pandas, dolphins, or elephants, when we think about visiting pandas in tourist places, there are some important ethical things we should consider. First, we need to ask ourselves if it's okay to use wild animals like pandas for our fun. Is this fair to them? Are we making sure they live in a way that's natural and makes them happy? These are big questions about whether having animals in zoos and sanctuaries for people to visit is the right thing to do. Then, there's the question of how all this tourism affects the pandas. Does it stress them out to have so many people around? Are they getting enough quiet time? It's super important for the people who run these places to make sure the pandas are taken care of, not just their physical health, but their mental well-being too. If you're going to visit pandas, remember to be respectful. Keep it quiet, don't try to touch or feed them, and follow all the rules. After all, we're guests in their home. Subscribe if you liked the video, and there's another one showing on the screen.